received yesterday your surface letter of the 20th of October. I read it avidly, as from an old pal. Noting that though time has Chattanoogaed along, your style remains pretty much as it was in the days when we had that terrifically intense and wonderfully sincere correspondence about socialism and the rest of it. Thanks for the letter, old-timer. I am sending this by air mail because it will have enough dull stuff in it to sink a merchant ship. I am sorry that Nick and you are no longer, as you put it, and that you should have wasted so much time because of his lack of courage. You must have had a rotten time of it, and I do sympathise with you. But are you writing to the right bloke? I'll say you are. Joan gave me my cards a couple of months back, though I had seen them coming since April. I luckily secured a bed, a great help when one remembers the many crawly things. Flies are nauseatingly numerous and fleas annoyingly active. I got 2 from my left leg while writing this earlier. Washing is difficult. Petrol tins are our bathtubs. Squeeze a rag at the shoulder and the water trickles interestedly down for reuse. Mice are a nuisance, scratching around. The ubiquitous utilitarian petrol tin is here made into a trap, properly baited, and it gets 3 or 4 a day for a time. Much rain lately. We have had now grass and some tiny flowers where before was merely sand. I've transplanted some of the flowers into a special patch we have made into a garden. We have 2 pigs fattening for Christmas, poor blighters. I hope you hear regularly from your brother and that your dad and yourself are in good health. Chris.
She was in good health. In fact, she was in rude health, and her admiration for Chris swiftly turned to a passion. The bombs were falling, and so was she.
21st of February 1944. Dear Bessie, I received your letter of the 1st of January on the 7th of the 2nd, 44, since when I have been busting to send you a smashing reply. Yet feeling clumsy as a ballerina in army boots who knows that her faithful followers will applaud however she pirouettes. I could hug you till you dropped. The unashamed flattery that you ladled out was very acceptable. I lapped it up gladly and can do with more, yes? I could hug you. An action unconnected with the acute shortage of women in these parts and mostly symbolic of my pleasure at your appreciation of qualities so very few others see and which I do not possess. I must confess that your outrageous enthusiasm banishes acquaintance from my mind. That I recognise the coming of a new kind of atmosphere into our interchanges and one which you will need to watch. You said your mind is a rambling rubbish box and your youthful desires for improvement remain unfulfilled. I don't remember having many youthful desires, except that one I do recall, where Madeleine Carroll featured in one of them. I am glad you accept my view on others not being informed of the contents of our letters. It will be much more satisfactory. We shall know each other much better through an in-confidence understanding. So, on to our pigs. Yesterday came the day for the male, or to be sent away for slaughter. Half a dozen of us were detailed to hold various parts of the massive, dirty, unfortunate creature, while the man who knows all about pigs got a bucket firmly wedged over the poor thing's head and snapped. I was originally deputed to take hold of the right ear, but in the opening melee found myself grasping the right leg, which I held onto firmly as it lumbered out of the sty and heaved on heavily as somehow, despite a terrific struggle and the most heart-rending screams, we got it on the lorry, which was to be its hearse. Directly it got up there, it went very quiet, and then started snuffling around for something to eat. In the afternoon, it met its man-determined fate, and this morning, as I came away from dinner, I saw its tongue, its heart, liver, and leg hanging from the cookhouse roof. I had my doubts about eating it in the days when it was half the 18 stone it weighed at death, but now I have none. Certainly can't help eat the poor bloke. The sow lives on. She is a large and sore-looking undercarriage and will be a mother in 3 weeks. I suppose we shall eat her progeny in due course. We get a film show every Saturday, whatever the weather. It is held in the open air. The audience stalls sitting on petrol tins, while those in the gallery sit on the top of the vehicles, many of which come several miles for what is usually the only event of the week. I have sat in the pouring rain with a ground sheet over me. I have sat with a gale blowing me over, literally, while Barbara Stanwyck in The Great Man's Lady, she was a brunette, bowled me over, figuratively. Only occasion, ally does a weakling leave the huddled concourse. I think that's right. Only occasionally does a weakling leave the huddled concourse. We take our fun seriously, and when we can get it, though I always think of the open-air theatre at Regent's Park, sing Midsummer Night's Dream on a brilliant light sward and, well, with a pre-war searchlight dancing around in the sky above us, it's hardly the same. George Formby has done a lot of talking since his trip here, but not a word publicly about losing 10 bottles of beer from the back of his charabanc. Some chaps I was with at the time did the pinching and subsequent drinking, so I know. Best wishes, friend, Chris.
The first letter that survives from Bessie Moore came in December 1944. By then, the intensity of their relationship through the mail and their desire to see each other almost burned itself through the mailbag. When we first hear from her, her nerves are shattered. Chris is in Athens and has been taken prisoner by the revolutionary forces.
Dearest, so very worried about what is happening in Greece. On the news tonight it spoke of it spreading, and it seems to have become a battle. My worst suspicions of what the British Army went to Greece for are fulfilled. I don't know how this is affecting you or whether ordinary people are involved. Of course you won't be able to tell me much. I can only just hope for your safety. The trouble seems to be centred in Athens, and you spoke of visiting it, so I presume you aren't billeted there. You should have them settle their own troubles. Darling, I have no complaints about your letters. I am too happy that it is my body that you want, that occupies your thoughts. If you didn't write and tell me these things, I should suspect you of being interested in somebody else's body. You keep concentrating on mine. My breasts, my vital, vibrant spot, my hands, and my desires. Well, I'm glad you have 4 blankets to keep you warm. If I was there, you wouldn't want any. You'd be hot enough. Here am I, a blooming iceberg of a maiden, waiting to be roused into a fire, not just melted, but changed into a fire. And there you are, miles and miles away, needing an extra blanket. During this last month, I have reached rock bottom. I now feel like something of a convalescent. No longer need a nurse. Christopher, I need the whole vital man in you, your strength, your energy. When? When will you make me a whole woman? When will I be one with this frustration? When? Stunted growth. That's what I suffer from. My body is stunted. My affections are stunted. Even my blooming mind suffers from this incompleteness. I want to be your mistress, to be used to the uttermost. I want to fuss you, look after you. I want to be your companion in arms, away with depressions, fed-upness, waiting. Angel, I want to feel human. I'm so sick of being a cold, haughty virgin. Crikey, talk about untapped resources. Did I have to find the man of my life in the middle of a blooming desert who then goes on a cook's tour and then gets himself into a hot spot of trouble? Oh, Christopher, I do hope you'll be all right. My apprenticeship, books, books, books. I'm sick of those too. I want to live with you. Oh, why couldn't you come home instead of going to Greece? Why can't I come out to Greece and stand in the way of any stray bullets? Pancakes. Yes, we had them with your lemons. That's why I made them. I rather think your lemons helped get rid of my cold. Maybe your letters as well. All those things help, you know. The lemons on the practical side and the letters on the mental side. I had to giggle about my bravery in bomb London. I live here, work here, and there isn't anything else to do but live and work here. And like most things up to a point, you get used to it. It's one's low resources that one has to be brave about. All one's usual aches and pains can get you down easily. Any extra effort tires out. But As we're all in the same boat, that isn't so bad as it sounds. It's communal, you know. Makes a difference. Besides, the battlefront sounds so much worse. I concentrate on that when I feel pathetic. I shall be concentrating on Greece. Can't help it. The situation sounds so much worse. The news tonight says civil war. Darling, I love you. Love you so very much. Bessie.